Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is F1 Fanatics. Welcome back, it's Sunday, another race day here at F1 Fanatics. I think I keep saying the same thing every time. That's just repeat, rinse and repeat. I might not even have to re-record this in the future. Just keep using that.
Play clips of every classic race.
It's like, race day, race day, race day, race day. But yes, it's race day here. And today's race, although probably not classic in terms of it's quite recent, and I suppose a lot of these classic races we've been looking at in the past. But obviously the big news this week was that Sebastian Vettel will leave Ferrari at the end of the 2020 season. So we thought we would go back and look where it all began in his first season, in the second race of the season, getting his first ever victory for Ferrari.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. As usual with our new roundup with the classic race review, first up we will give you the running order of how the race actually finished, then our top 5 moments to look out from the race. We've got a couple of honourable mentions this week before picking our driver of the day and a very funny off-track moment that technically wasn't off-track, but it'll make sense when we get to it. But yeah guys, hope you kind of look forward to and enjoy that. And if you're new around here, you can click that subscribe button and make sure you can keep up to date with all our latest content, especially every Sunday for a classic race review. Yeah, with me and Stephen.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Let's jump into it.
Let's jump into it. So,
I was about to jump into it.
Right.
Sorry.
Brilliant.
I didn't realise it wasn't literal.
No.
I was fully ready to jump.
Not a literal jump.
Then I was like, where is it? Anyway.
Oh, this video's going well. Anyway, the running order as it stands. So, coming in P1 with his first win for the Scuderia Ferrari, that was Sebastian Vettel. Lewis Hamilton was in P2 with Nico Rosberg in P3 completing the podium. Kimi Räikkönen had a bit of a kind of mixed day, started lower down, got an early puncture, but fought his way back up to 4th position, showing that the Ferraris and Mercedes were the best cars this season. The Williams of Valtteri Bottas was in P5 with Felipe Massa in P6. Max Verstappen in the Toro Rosso, his first season in Formula 1, finished in P7 ahead of Toro Rosso teammate Carlos Sainz. Daniel Kvyat in the Red Bull P9 and Daniel Ricciardo in P10. How many times do you see that? The kind of Toro Rosso's finishing ahead of Red Bull. I mean, I know technically AlphaTauri now, but you know what I mean, it doesn't really happen. Roman Grosjean just finishing outside of the points in his Lotus powered by Mercedes. Felipe Nasser in the Sauber was there, and Sergio Perez was 13th in the Force India with teammate Nico Hülkenberg in P14 behind. They certainly will be making a mention in the top 5 moments. Robert Mehi in the Marussia was 15th, and our retirements from the race were Pastor Maldonado, Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso and Marcus Ericsson. And Will Stevens in the other Marussia did not start the race. So there's the running order, but now we're going to pick our moments from the race. So Stephen, coming in at number 5, what's the first, well, 5th point?
The Mercedes strategy. It was shocking. It was basically shocking. Well, we know. Well, we made a joke. If you saw our last Motorsport Manager, we were deciding to pick the Mercedes strategy or the Ferrari strategy. And everyone would go, choose the Mercedes. It's solid. It never goes wrong. It went wrong. It went real wrong. There was a safety car on lap 5. They decided to double stack, which wasn't the smoothest. Rosberg lost a few positions. And then they ended up doing a 3 stops throughout the whole race and basically did not compete for first. Did not compete for the race win. It was a mess. They finished 2nd and 3rd, so it wasn't a complete disaster, I guess. But
they were awful. They didn't win.
But they weren't challenging for that race win at all, basically.
Well, no. In comparison, obviously, the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel stayed out on this safety car and allowed... And it just, you know, the tyres went so drastically in the race. It was the mix between the mediums and the hard compounds, but both Lewis and Nico struggled to get any kind of sustained tyre life out of them. Vettel seemed to get much better tyre life throughout. But yeah, pitting them so early, double stacking and costing Nico positions as well. I don't know if that's the almost arrogance that their car was quicker than most people. So even if they lost a couple of places, that they would then, overtake in the long run. But yeah, it just, compared to the smooth running machine that what Mercedes is now today, it was a rare bad day at the office for them.
Yeah.
But still second and third, so not that bad. P4 in this top 5 position goes to British driver Jenson Button in the McLaren. His teammate Fernando Alonso by this point, I think, had already retired from the race. And there was a train of cars being held up. I'm not sure if it might have been a Toro Rosso of Carlos Sainz building up a train. But Jenson Button comes onto the radio and says, "Wow, we're actually catching cars.
What's going on?
What's going on, guys?" And then the engineer quickly reassured Button to go, "Don't worry, Jenson, we're not quick. There's just traffic up ahead." And it's like, but I think this is the season famous later for the GP2 comments. It was a pretty damning evidence on the car early on, like going, "Wow, we're catching people. What is this magic you speak of?"
I love how this message has been overlooked because of Alonso's one, but this was equally as damning to the car, going, "We're catching people? We're in a race?" It's like,
I thought we were just here for fun. But both McLarens retired from the race with reliability issues, so it naturally, even if they did catch people, it wasn't for the kind of good in the end. Just fell apart. P3.
Into number 3, the completely unbiased position, Max Verstappen.
Anything about Max Verstappen or just Max Verstappen?
Max Verstappen, on to P2. Okay. It's not just because I'm wearing a Max Verstappen t-shirt, I happen to be a Max Verstappen fan, but he deserves to make the highlights. Because, the whole race had a lot of great on-track action. Lots of overtakes, lots of wheel-to-wheel battles. Some ended badly, some went really well. And Max Verstappen was I'm thinking of the words, was at the pinnacle of that on-track action. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
He pulled off some amazing moves.
Yeah, especially with Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull. There were several kind of ones. There was a late one on his teammate Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
That was a great one. Almost kind of took his front wing, but just got right up behind him and then darted kind of on the inside line.
Braked, yeah.
It showed, it was a reminder very early that Max Verstappen is one of the top talents within the sport. And yeah, even at that stage, he was showing, geez, this kid's got something about him. And yeah, again, it was a good, what the word I'm looking for? It was a good showcase of why Malaysia is a very good Grand Prix and why I think we miss it on the calendar. Similar sort of track style to China, but for some strange reason, seems a hell of a lot better than China. There were multiple overtakes throughout in this race, throughout the midfield action, some that didn't go well and some that did. But Max Verstappen was definitely one of the big highlights this day and certainly a strong contender for that driver of the day position we'll discuss later on. But moving on to P2 in this one, and I am wearing, there's not often that I get to wear my Force India top and it's relevant. Yeah. Today it is relevant, and I'm pretty
for all the good reasons. Oh wait, no.
No. Well, basically, we'd had a team radio message, first point, with Daniel Kvyat being told that, I think it was to Ricciardo saying, Kvyat, we need to let Kvyat through.
Your front wing's damaged, let Kvyat through.
Yeah, so Kvyat then overtakes, and he gets ahead of the Force India of Nico Hülkenberg as well. Then Nico decides that he's not ever going to make this move. And admittedly, Danny Kvyat, he turns in aggressively on the racing line to shut the door. But Hulkenberg was never ever contesting this corner and basically just punted Kvyat up into the air.
Yeah.
He was lucky not to kind of
take out Ricciardo as well.
Well, yeah, and not to kind of end Daniel's race indefinitely. But yes, he received a 10-second penalty for that later on in the race. And then Checo, Roman Grosjean in the Lotus. Some people will be surprised. Obviously, we did a podcast actually about Roman Grosjean yesterday with Dan from F1E Review. So check out that to kind of maybe see why this season in particular actually was quite a good season for Roman leading the way. But
he was having a good race.
He was having a good race, and he was fighting wheel to wheel, and Checo was losing this position.
Yeah.
But they were wheel to wheel action, and Checo aggressively squeezed him off the track. And Grosjean was ahead, and he just kind of tapped his back wheel and spun Grosjean round. Yeah, it wasn't.
It did look good.
It didn't look good at all, and he also received a 10-second penalty. The Force Indias didn't have necessarily great pace this race, but they made things a hell of a lot worse by both drivers getting a 10-second penalty. Naughty Force India.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I've got.
Well, on to the final position, and there's only one highlight to make P1, and that is Sebastian Vettel. There's the reason we watched this race, his first run at Ferrari. They were saying at the end of the race, Ferrari is back, wasn't it? And it was like, is this going to be the start of Ferrari's new reign under Sebastian Vettel?
Just Seb screaming down the road up, yes! Yes! Grazie!
Yeah. 4-time world champion. This was it. The beginning of a beautiful relationship. Wasn't to be, but it was a great race from Sebastian Vettel. He just controlled it. Like we said with the Mercedes strategy, their tyre wear, Sebastian made those tyres last, had the pace, just controlled the race. He didn't have to do many overtakes, apart from blue flags he was complaining on later on. Like, blue flag, blue flag! But after the first pit stop, he did overtake both Mercedes, even though Lewis bailed right at the end. But yeah, it was a just dominating performance from Seb.
Yeah, it was a pretty much flawless race from Seb, and this is where Sebastian Vettel is at his best, I think, as a driver, at the front controlling races. You know, because for quite long periods of the time, he was out in front leading with no one really behind him and no one in front, just kind of putting in endless lap times of just, dictating the pace of the race. And obviously with Mercedes making that bold call on the pit stop, he punished them because he went the tyre life was really good. He did 2 sets of mediums, where I think the Mercedes had to do 2 mediums and 2 hards, didn't they? On that front. So he made 2 sets of mediums last and then finished the race on the hard compound, and it was just dominant. And that emotion at the end of the race, winning Ferrari, he's dreamed of this day. His childhood hero was Michael Schumacher. We all know what Michael did with Ferrari and what he did probably for German drivers growing up, inspiring a generation. And Seb, that day had come and all that emotion just kind of poured out, and it was, one of his best moments. Unfortunately, he wasn't, I know the 2020 season still is to come, but unfortunately he wasn't able to fulfill his dream of the World Drivers' Championship, and it never quite worked out as planned, but it was still a very good race and very dominant moment from Seb, certainly.
Yeah.
So,
honourable mentions.
Honourable mentions. Who are we going with first? Which one?
Let's go for the radio message from Kimi Räikkönen. He was, he got a puncture. I can't remember who gave him the puncture. Was it? Did he say Pastor in the end?
I think it was NASA.
NASA.
Yeah.
He picked up a puncher, went to the back, and then the safety car came out later on. So he was at the back with all these back markers. They weren't interested in catching the safety car. Kimi was, though. Catching the pack, I should say. Because there was the first 10 cars, and then the other cars were quite far back. And Kimi was not happy, not too pleased about this.
No. No, I think he was like, they're not even trying to catch the safety car. Can I overtake them? It was in classic. Whenever Kimi gets on the radio, he sounds incredibly frustrated. He's just like, ah!
Let me overtake the safety car. No, Kimi, it's not how it works.
No, you can't do that, Kimi. You can't. I'm going to. Okay. All right. You do that. Perfect. But yes, that was one of the honourable mentions, and the other honourable mention was some notable on-track action. We've spoken about it before. Was the battling between Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas on the last lap.
Yeah.
It was some really great racing because there was respect between the two. They didn't compromise their race in anything.
There was one moment where they did touch. Yeah.
But they were respectful.
Yeah.
It wasn't an aggressive touch. But it was brilliant to watch, and Valtteri Bottas came out on top on that one.
Yeah. It was, Valtteri. Great move.
Yeah, a reminder, I think his time at Mercedes has dented a lot of people's opinion of Valtteri Bottas. He is actually a very talented driver. And his Williams days that kind of earned him the call up to Mercedes in 2017, he was a very worthy driver on the grid and had some kind of standout performances in that Williams, which at that stage was still a competitive outfit.
Yeah.
Oh God, fast forward a few years. Not quite the case for Williams, but driver of the day, Stephen.
Wait, off-track moment.
Oh, we're going to go with off-track moment first. Stephen just can't wait to say this one anymore. So, off-track moment. We were watching this race on YouTube. They didn't have any English commentary. We had German commentary from Sky Sports. It was quite good.
Yeah.
Quite funny. It was just at the start of the race, we had stuff like, damn Rosberg, damn Vettel, damn Ricciardo. I'm like, all right, very aggressive. But it wasn't obviously English translation. It was for the German relevance. But randomly, about 17 laps in, and then periodically throughout the race.
3 times.
Yeah. We had an advert for German Speedos.
Yes.
There was some very proud German-looking men just stand there in their Speedos. I'm not sure what the relevance is when you're watching an F1 race to suddenly go, you know what, I really need a new pair of Speedos. That's just reminded me. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, F1. Thank you for that. But very, very strange, very weird off-track moment. Okay, driver of the day now.
Well, do you wanna go first?
Okay, I'll go first because I know you want your big moment.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you mean big moment?
I don't know. Sebastian Vettel, he's driver of the day. Flawless drive from start to finish. First win for Ferrari. And, was just an incredible drive. It was Sebastian at his best, doing what he does best, which is leading and dominating from the front of the pack. It was a very impressive race from start to finish. So, for me, he gets driver of the day. Stephen?
Yeah. Well, of course. Sebastian Vettel is the clear favourite for driver of the day. Or is he? It's Max Verstappen for me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's Max Verstappen. He made the race very exciting. P7 in a Toro Rosso, finishing ahead of both Red Bulls. It was a great result for him. Great action. He made the race. Driver of the day. Yeah.
Max Verstappen driver of the day. I mean, he had a very good race. I don't really know what that was. That was something. That's an announcement for driver. You've set the bar high for driver of the day. What's going to go on in next?
This was the peak.
Okay, we've peaked. This is it, guys. This is as good as it gets. You might as well not tune in anymore.
It's the first opportunity I've had in the classic races. Well, it's like a modern.
Very true.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. But there, guys, that is our classic race review of the 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix. I think there's no better point than to end on Stephen's pitch for Max Verstappen's driver of the day. But in the comments below, let us know what were your favourite moments from the race, your top 5 moments from this race that made it good. Were they different to any of ours? Who was your driver of the day? Was it Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, or someone else? I don't know. Maybe on that front. But yes, that is it for us for today, guys. But if they're new around here, or haven't done so already, we did mention it at the start, but what can they do, Stephen?
They can like, they can subscribe, and they can ding that bell.
Ding that bell. And that's it, guys. So for now, you F1 fans, keep racing.